Are you a joyful person? Scripture tells us to rejoice in the Lord. Sometimes that's easier said than done. I've found that one of the biggest obstacles to being a joyful person is complaining. Maybe that's why Paul talked about this in Philippians chapter 2. He writes, "Do everything without complaining or arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure." People who shine like stars in the universe. Stars on a dark night, they stand out. They shine brightly. And Paul says that you and I can stand out like those stars against the dark sky when we're people who don't complain and don't argue. The tough part to me about this verse is that it says, do everything without complaining or arguing. I certainly can do some things without complaining or arguing. On a good day, even most things. But the scripture says, do everything without complaining or arguing. So I want to share with you a few ideas that I have for how we can become the kind of people that are characterized by joyfulness, not complaining or arguing. One idea is to express thanks, to express thanksgiving. In those times where you feel that word of complaint about to escape your lips, or maybe it's you're meditating on that word of complaint in your mind, instead start to count those things that you're thankful for and express them out loud. Share them with someone else. A second idea is to encourage others. One reason we're often complaining is that we're focused on ourselves. We're being, let's be honest, self-centered. And when we go to encourage others, that takes the focus off ourselves onto the people around us. And that helps us to be more joyful people and less of complainers. A third idea is to intentionally look for the positive in the things around us. Focus on the positive. Look for those positive aspects. Even when life throws you that inevitable curveball, do you just dwell on the negative, the disappointment, or do you look for the positive? That's another way that we can overcome this urge, this maybe bad habit to complain and grumble. A fourth idea is simply to ask for God's help. Anytime God asks us to do something, like to rejoice in the Lord, He's willing to help us achieve that. He's willing to help us accomplish that. We need to ask Him. Sometimes that involves a little bit of confession. Sometimes we need to go to God and say, God, I'm really struggling in this area. This is really hard for me. I'm frustrated by this. I'm unhappy about this. God, help me overcome this. And God will definitely help you. In fact, Scripture says the fruit of the Spirit is love, and joy is the second thing on the list. And we need to be filled with God's joy. So ask God to fill you with His joy. And then a fifth idea is to hang around positive people. We are so influenced by the people we're around. In fact, just yesterday I was reading an article about how what we eat is even influenced by the people around us. That if we sit down at dinner with people who eat a lot, we'll eat more. And if we sit down at dinner with people who eat less, the tendency is for us to eat less. Just as we're influenced by our food choices by the people around us, our positivity, or in some cases negativity, is also influenced by the people we're with. So if this is an area you struggle with, you're having difficulty with, or you know you need to grow in, I challenge you to find some more positive people to spend time with, to hang around. They'll rub off on you in a positive way. Of course, the flip side is true too. If we're around people who are negative and complaining all the time, chances are we'll become people who complain more often. Again, what did Paul have to say to us? He said, do everything without complaining or arguing, so that we may become blameless and pure, shining like stars in the universe. Just a few verses later in Philippians 2:18, he concludes, so you too should be glad and rejoice with me. We can be glad and rejoice. You know, sometimes we think that too much of life is out of our control. And often lots of things in life really are. But our attitude, now that's something that's not out of our control. We control our attitudes. We have the power to have a positive attitude. My challenge for you is to rejoice in the Lord. Do everything without complaining or arguing, and then you can shine like a star in the universe, standing out for your rejoicing and your joyfulness. May the joy of the Lord be your strength.